The whole world wants to target millennials, and the financial industry as well wants to do that. And why not, right? Millennials at this point do have the maximum spending power because of the age that they are in. Hence, the card that is being branded as the latest sell to millennials is called the Millennial Credit Cards. What exactly are they? Do they really bring about some very interesting features that millennials tend to use significantly? How do they differ from your regular credit cards? How does one essentially distinguish those cards that are simply a marketing gimmick and those that legitimately offer you great options and great sales? And finally, how do you ensure that you do not get caught in a debt trap because of overusage of your millennial cards? That's what we will be discussing today with Raj Khosla of My Money Mantra. Raj, thank you so much for joining in on the Money Show. So yes, millennial cards are the fad, right from a big bank like HDFC launching their millennial card all the way to a small fintech company called Slice. They too have a millennial card. It's truly becoming a fad. So Raj, what's your view on these new millennial cards? A lot of discounts, lots of cashbacks, etc. being offered. What's your take on this?
Unfortunately, the audio is not too good, but here goes. First up, India, by the way, has the largest millennial population in the world, which is 450 million. Now, take a pause and take a pause with that. And currently, there are only 28 million unique card holders in India. And I can bet you that there couldn't be more than 500,000 millennials. So can you imagine 450 million millennials in India, and only 500,000 of them are carded? So there is an incredible runway up ahead of us in terms of the marketplace. No wonder so many of our manufacturers, including of manufacturers of banking services, are targeting this segment. So HDFC Bank, like you said, has launched a really nice range of cards targeted to millennials. But between you and me, millennial cards are those which are designed to reward the spends that a young person is likely to have,
right,
which typically means, maybe travel, maybe fuel, maybe online spends, but they're no different from any other cards, except that this bunch of cards offers special rewards on travel, fuel, e-commerce spends, retail shopping via cards, and such. But apart from that, there's no real difference, between this card and the others.
Well, yes, shopping, I think, is the key focus area of these millennia cards, as you saw on your screens. The kind of cashbacks, a certain percentage, reward points as well. In many stores, they are doubled and they are, quadrupled in many situations. So that in turn as well, the RPs are used in turn, converted into cash, and that helps you either pay off your your credit card bill, or you can use it for more benefits. Now, what we did is we did a bit of a case study. We compared the HDFC Regalia credit card with the HDFC Millennia card and saw that, hey, what are these guys actually offering? Now, the HDFC Regalia card, 4 RPs for every 50 rupees spent, and if you see the previous graphic, lots of lounge access, international airports, etc. So that was very interesting. But if you look at the Millennia credit card, that one is focused more on shopping. If you pay via PayZapp, you get a 5% cashback on shopping. Plus, if you're buying stuff online, 2.5% cashback, and we do know how often we like to go online and just splurge a tad bit. We did see that significant surge in Diwali. 1% cashback if you go to a brick and mortar store, go to a physical store, and also if you reload the credit card, you get a 1% cashback as well. Plus, compared to the Regalia, a little lesser, but still 8 complimentary airport lounge accesses annually. So much lesser, actually, let me correct that, compared to the Regalia, but nevertheless, complimentary airport lounge access is still present. So as you can see, this one is focused a bit more on shopping, on splurging, or the YOLO life, if that's what the millennials call it, or maybe now I should move beyond the millennial generation. Okay, we've been able to bring on board Raj Khosla to continue our conversation on this. So Raj, in many cases, like you mentioned, it's simply just a branding that's given. It's called millennial card to perhaps attract that segment of the population. So let's say if I have to choose between two cards, one is the millennial card and one is just a regular normal card, what should be the key points on which I should compare the two cards if millennial is not the the clickbait of sorts for me?
Yeah, as far as the millennial card and any other normal card is concerned, chances are that on millennial type cards, which could incidentally be either a credit card, it could be a debit card, it could be a prepaid card, it could be an EMI card. So it's not a narrow credit card focused offering. But the difference will be that on all of the rewards that you would get and the benefits that you would get are designed for an age bracket of somewhere in the 20s, which is typically referred to as the millennials. For instance, I mean, I don't think that any of the millennial type cards would offer a golf game, because that is not what a millennial is typically looking for. So all the lifestyle habits like online shopping, fuel filling, buying movie tickets, this is what the millennial cards would be at variance with respect to any other normal card. In fact, we didn't talk about it, but State Bank of India has launched an online spending card whereby they give enhanced and accelerated points on online spends. So although that may not be referred to as a millennial card, but that's exactly what it is,
Okay, that's a very interesting point you raised. Lifestyle related, shopping related deals and rewards are more often found in a millennia card as opposed to, let's say, a non-millennia or a regular credit card. Raj, I want to understand, are there any hidden costs that are involved perhaps in these millennia cards, because the benefits as well are quite great. So are there any sort of hidden costs? Have you noticed that perhaps the charges in a millennia card are more, less, compared to a regular card?
Well, like I said, there's actually no difference between these two sets of cards. So if there's any hidden charges and so on, they would exist uniformly across all types of cards, whether they be millennia cards or any other type of cards. But since you asked, the millennia cards, what one would be looking for is that, especially on this, on the rewards, the expiry date, because that sometimes gets lost in the fine print, whereby you think you accumulated sufficient points to avail something that you've liked a lot to acquire for a while. It turns out that all the accumulated reward points actually expired in 1 year flat, and in some other cards they would last for 2 to 3 years, and actually some cards you can carry them forward forever. So that is something that one would look at. And then secondly, if there's any expense involved in redeeming these points and redeeming these reward points, or for that matter any of the benefits of booking hotels and so on, what is the likelihood that you will be able to make a successful booking? Because typically when you're making bookings or availing benefits against points, there is a limited amount of merchandise on the counter. So these are the things that one should look at in terms of hidden costs, if you like. But I would imagine that there are no real different hidden costs as there would be from any other cards.
So more qualitative in nature, for example, expiry of reward points, so on and so forth. Okay, so Raj, with greater reward points comes greater responsibility, if I could, put it in that way. Responsibility to be financially prudent and not simply get lured because, hey, my card is offering me XYZ discount or XYZ cash back. So how do you ensure that you're not caught in a debt trap of sorts?
Yes.
Go ahead, Raj.
Well, that's a truism. As in, whether it's a millennial card again or any other credit card, you should basically not be spending just because you're being induced to spend to acquire reward points and so on. You should spend only if spending has to be need-based. number one, and spending has to be based on the, on a pattern that you're able to repay anything that you're paying for now, and you should not land yourself in a debt trap. So that is something that you would, I would specifically caution the millennials for sure, because they are young, they are starting out on life, and financial discipline is essential. So, make sure that you purchase and you spend only what you can repay. Also, lastly, or certainly one important point are the safety features of any millennial card, because sometimes you tend to leave it behind, or the PIN number, you share it with a friend. Certainly never share any of the security details about your card usage with your best friend, with whoever. It's only yours and for you to use. Otherwise, like they say, savdhani hati or durghatna ghati, pakki baat.
No truer words, Raj. On that note, thank you so much then for joining us with those valuable lessons on millennial cards and what not. We really appreciate your word of advice.